Donald Trump Jr. got back from his unfortunate weekend at this Turning Point USA event and did another podcast. He loves his podcast. So we're going to review some moments from that because I was interested to see what he would address on this episode, given that over the weekend he spoke at this Turning Point USA event and it spiraled off this whole conversation that was so brutal and devastating for Donald Trump Jr. and for his father that I'm sure he felt some regret. So before getting to the podcast episode and his moments there, I want to show you what it is if you missed this saga that was so embarrassing for Donald Trump Jr. So for some reason at the speech, he felt the need to say this.
We're never going to surrender. It's not our style, man. We don't. At this point, we got to fight, because congratulations. If you're in this room right now, you're probably on the FBI list. You're in with me, my father, my family, so you're in with good company. I am on every list except the Epstein list. We haven't heard anything about that one in a while. I'm fine with all the other lists. As long as I'm not on the Epstein list, we're good, right?
Gonna pause your viewing of this video to ask that you subscribe to the channel, but also tell you, as you can see, different location. We're traveling right now in Wisconsin for a Trump rally. We're gonna interview Trump supporters. Should be crazy, but very grateful to the guys for setting up a really good setup here in this rental house. If you want to support adventures like this and content like this free, just clicking that subscribe button is greatly appreciated. Interesting you brought up the Epstein list. And he even posted, as we'll get to, Seth Meyers made fun of him for being so proud of this point, that he posted on X, you know who's not on the Epstein list? My father, because if he was, it would have leaked in about half a second. That's a fact. And Midas Touch very quickly responded and said Donald Trump was on Epstein's flight logs at least 7 times. Here are the receipts straight from the court records in the Ghislaine Maxwell case. So Donald Trump Jr., for some reason, brings this into the forefront of the conversation. No one forced him. No one asked him about Epstein. Now, Trump got asked about Epstein recently, and we'll remind ourselves of that. But he decided to bring this up. And it caused a whole online conversation about Trump once again and his association with Epstein. Backfired very badly for Donald Trump Jr. It even prompted Midas Touch to put together this brutal ad.
Charges that Jeffrey Epstein was running a sex trafficking ring in the early 2000s that included underage girls as young as 14 years old.
Donald Trump in 2002 said of Epstein, he's a lot of fun to be with. It's even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side.
You were playing tennis and you came off the court. Quote, look at that piece of I would love some of that. It so happened that Trump was referring to Cohen's then 15-year-old daughter, Samantha.
I'll go backstage before a show, and everyone's getting dressed and ready and everything else. And I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it. Yeah. I standing there with no...
Donald Trump is heard making questionable comments about a young girl.
A lawsuit against the presumptive GOP nominee alleges he raped a girl when she was 13 years old.
You know about sexual predators and things like that. I mean...
you
sure.
are one.
All right, I was going to say that, but it's true.
That's such a funny thing, but very serious. Now, this is obviously a blunt, aggressive ad, but calling attention to a very real phenomenon and characteristic of Trump's past. It's not to make light of these very serious allegations. And I, as I've said before, am not making any particular accusations. The point is that Donald Trump Jr. and Republicans often will use Epstein as a shortcut term for the Democratic cabal conspiracy theories, right? But they never answer for this remarkably, disgustingly close relationship between Trump and Epstein, not to mention grouping that with the past actions and words of Donald Trump. Now, before getting to these podcast clips, this even prompted mainstream outlets to report on this. You have Los Angeles Magazine saying, speaking to the right-wing Turning Point Action this week, Donald Trump Jr. brought up the late convicted child sex offender Jeffrey Epstein's associates in an attempt to demonstrate a MAGA conspiracy theory about a supposed judicial system biased against his father. Trump Jr.'s comment was an interesting choice given his father's long and documented close personal relationship with Epstein. However, even as social media users alluded to the relationship Trump Jr., he doubled down on X, claiming what I already showed you, and then it walks through exactly what we talked about. This is not the headline he was hoping to create. Donald Trump Jr. actually reminds voters of father's relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. You also have, let's see here, The Wrap reporting on Seth Meyers. I can't play this clip because it's copyrighted, but Seth Meyers said on his show last night or 2 nights ago, he wasn't just on Epstein's plane, he had platinum status. They let him on board before uniformed military personnel. He was only 3 flights away from filling out his punch card. So some humor there. But again, we also had this recent moment.
Would you declassify the 9/11 files?
Yeah.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah. I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think that less so because, you don't know. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world. But I think I would.
Okay, so let me put it this way. I understand, I really do, the gravity of talking about this type of subject, given what Epstein did and who he was. And so it's never to make light of that by levying loosely these allegations. So that's why I always say I'm not making any particular allegation. I like pointing to specifically the hypocrisy. If Biden had all of this, what we just walked through, his son then said, well, we're not on Epstein's list. And then there's flight logs where he definitely was on the list. I don't know what the list is, but that's a form of a list. And obviously everyone who flew on Epstein's plane, lots of prominent people did. It's not necessarily proof anything. But you then follow that up with Trump going, yeah, I would declassify all that stuff. Oh, except for Epstein's stuff. Biden would get destroyed by MAGA. They would lose their mind. That would be proof of QAnon and all the conspiracy theories involved if Biden did it. So that's the thing we need to point out. So then Donald Trump Jr. gets home from that disastrous weekend, causing all the internet to talk about this very bad characteristic of his father and his past relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, and does another podcast. And let's go through some moments. First, this.
So, it's good to see the little people, my kids, turning into what seem like, pretty conservative kids. So that's good. And when you talk to them and you talk to their friends and you see what's going on around, you hear the stuff they talk about, they're laughing about a lot of that Democrat agenda and the, furries and the trans women in sports and stuff like that. So I actually think, the phenomenon that we're seeing where Gen Z is coming out on our side and, starting to vote against this stuff because they understand they're going to inherit this world and they're going to have to live under Biden.
All right. So because of how long it took me to even get into this, I understand I need to start moving quickly. And so I won't do my entire rant about that. But let me just put it this way. If the defining issues in your life are furries and, as he says, trans women in sport or trans athletes, that's weird to me, okay? It's just weird. And also, Gen Z is not going in the MAGA direction like Don Jr. is alluding to, continuing.
We all should understand how important dads are as well. And, mom's obviously incredibly important, but the dad is such a big factor in all of that. So I hope all of the good dads out there, I hope they got to spend time with their family, got some much needed love and attention. And I just hope that you guys had a great weekend. So have a great show tonight. We're going to have some fun. And don't worry, folks. I will not be like Joe Biden. There will be no freezes, no looking out into no...
All right, so let's see. He's not going to have any mental glitches, right? All right, hold that in your brain. By the way, a riveting Father's Day message. I actually think that let me go back a little bit on this.
I hope all the dads out there had an incredible Father's Day. We all should understand how important dads are as well. And, mom's obviously incredibly important, but the dad is such a big factor in all of that. So I hope all of the good...
Just a very, Very compelling Father's Day message. Similar to his dad's Father's Day message, writing, "Happy Father's Day to all, including the radical left degenerates that are rapidly bringing the United States of America into third world nation status with their many attempts at trying to influence our sacred court system into breaking to their very sick and dangerous will. We need strength and loyalty to our country and its wonderful Constitution. Everything will be on full display come November 5th, 2024, the most important day in the history of our country. Make America great again." So wishing a happy Father's Day to the far left degenerates. Next moment.
Let's get into some of the top headlines. Joe Biden is failing. He's falling apart before our very eyes. In just the past week, there have been several moments caught on camera that show Joe Biden is clearly out of it. The most notable of those was the latest Biden.
It's instant karma. It is. You're about to dishonestly attack Biden, and then it's your brain that glitches.
There have been several moments caught on camera that show Joe Biden is clearly out of it. The most notable of those was
I love when he makes glitch. I make glitches all the time, and I just sort of go up and then push past it, right? Or back up, go forward. Sort of like parallel parking in that sense. You just got to take a couple attempts. But his dad does this shoulder thing and glitches with his body a little bit and then always abandons it altogether. Like the Saudi Arabia and Russia will reproduce, and he just kept going. Donald Trump Jr. has something different. He sticks his tongue out whenever he makes a glitch. Well, so that's interesting as well. But this is him going after Biden for these clips that we spent a lot of time on already. So dishonestly clipped and cropped. And when you actually watch them, either in their full context or not with insane MAGA glasses on, there's nothing remarkable about them. Just quickly, here's Abby Phillip making this point about one of them.
Now, you don't have to scroll too far down on the RNC's research account to find posts winking and nodding that Biden isn't all there. Posts like this one, showing Biden at the G7 summit wandering around. Now, the RNC would have you believe that this was all aimlessly. The New York Post saw the video and put the stills on the front page. Meanderer in chief. The problem is, that is also wildly misleading. Biden wasn't staring off into the distance like a puppy distracted by a bird. He was watching a diving demonstration. He had a conversation with those.
Again, but the videos were cut where you couldn't see the parachuters over there. You couldn't see who he was talking to. So then he just looked like he was aimlessly staring. And to me, as I'll continue to say, if they're having to be this desperate in their dishonesty, then Biden must be doing all right, right? Otherwise, they would have more impactful things to attack him on. And I don't blame the average folks out there. That was a weird phrase. You know, the average folks, for seeing a clip of Biden being like, that's weird. It's the people that I know had to get that video from somewhere and then crop it dishonestly, who knew what they were doing, that really bother me. Here's more.
Disaster. Is Joe Biden really sharper than ever? I'll let you be the judge of that, okay? Just so we're clear, I read today that his own campaign people want to change the rules of the debate to allow him to sit down while he's debating my father. He's sharper than ever. He can't stand like every president in every debate that was capable of standing before him.
Yeah, there actually have been debates where the candidates sit down, but this isn't true either. Forbes reports CNN denies claim Biden wanted to sit during debate, and this turns out to be something that isn't going to happen, and they are going to stand up, and it's being refuted. But do you know who does seem to be floating the idea that someone should not go to this debate because it might not go well?
Now, there are some even saying, Mark, that Donald Trump might be wise to just pass on the first debate, wait till he's nominated, then debate him. What would you say to that?
Why? Why would he skip it? Well, Hannity has been saying that he's worried Biden will be jacked up, which by that he means Biden will beat Trump.
Mind you guys, Apple, rather than create their own AI, they want to integrate ChatGPT throughout all of the
GTP, is that what he said?
Their new phones, and will let it read your text messages. What could possibly go wrong? I'll tell you. If you've seen the movie The Terminator, it feels like that's very much in line, and frankly, probably in line with a lot of the Democrat overlords' desire for depopulation. So maybe that's the plan. At this point, nothing would surprise me. They're all.
So in recent podcasts, he's floated that his dad's going to be assassinated by the Democrats. That the Democrats, he says it's more likely than not that the election's not going to happen. Biden's going to find an excuse to call off the election. How you would do that, I don't know. And now he's saying the Democratic overlords are going to facilitate depopulation by reading your text messages. What was that? What? The weird thing, this is a good example of MAGA too, and how their weird conspiracy theories get in the way of real conversations, because whatever this is that he's talking about, there are a lot of privacy concerns with companies selling our data, using our data to target us with advertising and all that, and we should be concerned about that, and we should implement laws to protect our privacy and all of that. But for him, it's about Democratic overlords trying to create a situation that promotes depopulation. It's just, so then we have to debunk that instead of having the meaningful conversation we could have about the general subject he's talking about. Here's here's him saying that there should be drug tests before the debate.
Right after it. I think the American people would deserve to know.
Oh, wait, let me go back.
Freeze, and if he freezes, he'll be okay. He'll just stay there frozen the entire time, but we'll see.
Well, so listen, as a doctor, what sorts of cocktails? I mean, I literally think like our only request, I don't even care if he sits down, but our only request should be like to drug test him, right after it. I think the American people would deserve to know, what would be in his system to perhaps get him to function shortly. Because like that is a 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week, 365-day-a-year job.
Okay, so let me make a deal with DJ TJ. I'll make sure, because I'm the person who has the authority on this matter, of course, I'll make sure Joe Biden gets drug tested if Donald Trump Jr. gets drug tested.
You realize it's the highest it's ever been in 40 years. No, but it hasn't gone up. It hasn't spiked since then. It's no, but the 40-year high, Joe, the 40-year high, that is the spike. You think that, it didn't go to 12, so that's, a great thing, as opposed to virtually in my lifetime, the highest inflation rates ever. People are hurting. They're hurting.
Okay. And then maybe we just contemplate on this a little longer.
I don't think Joe's smart enough to be hey, let's send them off the trail. Don't hack the McDonald's on D.C. I mean, why doesn't he just give Putin, the keys to the nuclear football? What's the list? Don't hack 1, Joe's basement. 2, Hunter's businesses. 3, Hunter's laptop.
His eyes are completely shut. What's going on, Don?
2, Hunter's businesses. 3, Hunter's laptop. 10% for the big guy. 4, don't hack that.
How do you hack 10% for the big guy? I don't understand what that means. And then, because I'm just trying to see if I can break a record of how many times I play this clip on the show, we'll round it out with this.
I get it. My guys, who I stayed in touch with, many of them just dear friends, they're like, hey, dude, there's no way you would have gotten away with that. I go, I know. Luckily, I don't snort cocaine. It's not my thing.
So, let's make a deal, Donnie. You get a test. Joe Biden can get a test. I'm kidding. Okay, that's tongue in cheek. Again, I'm making no allegations. I am perfectly willing to assume he's just weird and he's just crumbling under the weight of having to be the son of Donald Trump. Okay, that probably does impact you in a way that makes you float these crazy conspiracy theories, levy all these dishonest attacks, and deliver messages in the way that he does. So we'll leave it on that. Let me know what you thought of all that in the comments. A lot to respond to. And if you want to get access to the daily bonus show, you can do so by clicking that join button below.